Okay, this is a short video about different, how should I say, different things I think most teams should know. Like there are different types of fundamentals every team or player should know about, and just to say the most basic stuff for a team would be win condition, understanding what you're gonna do, where you're gonna play around, who you're gonna play around, what to do in specific times. Like when are the teams strong, when is the enemy team strong, if you're scaling, how to get to that point, and so on and so forth. And obviously there are different layers in in the different concepts. And other stuff like macro rotations and so on. But what I would like to talk about in this short video is use of tempo. And use of tempo is quite important for team, but also solo queue. So I will talk about the concept tempo, and you can apply it to your level, to your solo queue games, or um, in team as well. And the concept of tempo only refer to time in general, but we're gonna use it in this sense. We're gonna use it about the pace of the game, and obviously to use your tempo, have a proper tempo for your composition. A lot of the other um, general important concepts will intertwine with each other, like win condition and so on and so forth. But this game is actually quite good to show how tempo is going to be used properly. So we can take a look at the two team composition, and I will talk a little bit about win condition as well, since it since win condition and tempo goes hand in hand. So take a look at Downrun Gaming's composition. They have a catch poke composition, and they are quite strong early on. Just take the general gist of it. And you can say that Jace and Zoe will spike around the same goal, so they will spike around um, the same item spike and level spike. So if you look at the opposite team, and we're going to take a look at Aatrox and Corki, they need more levels, they need more gold to actually be strong, but they will outscale. And on this patch, to make it easy, Sona Tom Kench is the late game insurance. J4 can hard engage, obviously, but mostly Down One Gaming composition are strongest in the early mid game at uh, two items and maybe 2.5 to 3 items with Zoe. So to make it as simple as possible so everyone can understand, Jace is obviously strong in lane in general early on and mid game, but you will look at a 2 item power spike. So for example, Ghostblade and Duskblade, or Ghostblade or Duskblade with Black Cleaver. And for Zoe it will be Pen Boots, Luden's Echo, and at that time you bought Oblivion Orb, I think. But especially on Luden's and Pen Boots, she's really strong if you're gonna siege, because this composition in general want to siege with the Jace, so you can poke with Zoe and Jace, or you can catch somebody with the bubble and you blow them off. Like we're not gonna go into in depth on when specific like every single champion is strong, depending on like level and half item spikes and so. But we're gonna focus on the team aspect, and in this team aspect, it will be one and a half to 2.5 items that One Gaming is really strong compared to enemy team composition. Because Quirky and Severe in this case, who will be the main carries for Afrika Freak, they usually need, when they get 3 items, they will be really strong. Um, so One Gaming need to get a lead beforehand. It's also kind of important to notice that the main, the primary engage will be Nautilus Hook, like Sivir ult and Nautilus Hook ult. And Aatrox can flank or a Cocoon from Elise, but that will in most cases be a secondary engage. So it's really important that it's not actually so easy to engage on that one's composition unless they are strong enough to literally run them down because of the Tomkins negate so much of the CC. Um, I will go a little bit more in detail because it's a really important point. Is that at least on this patch you can see it's quite a like old game kinda, and Elise is stronger than J4, and it's important to notice that Elise will actually be able to invade J4. So we're gonna take a look at level 1 because it's quite important how Showmaker actually plays the lane, and this is quite beautiful. It doesn't, and it actually plays a little bit into the theme about tempo. But I just want to explain and show it in general because it's actually quite beautiful how Showmaker plays it. Okay, so just take a look at level 1. They get a hook and J4 has to flash. And this is quite important. Because already Elise can invade J4 and early game. And also now J4 doesn't have a flash, so he's like really fucked. It's important that Afrika Freaks wants to put a ward in this area, like either where they stand or in with the blue. And you can see that important word of they put in the middle. Down One Gaming put one in the brush in mid lane, and that's a really important word. So um, J4 had to use his flash, and now he's really in danger of being invaded. And how Showmaker actually managed to salvage this is really important. You can also see Sona put a ward, so they have full control because it's really important they know where the enemy jungler is starting. And likewise, they will assume J4 starts red, and then they will see when he goes to blue because of the ward. But just take a look on how Showmaker plays this because this will have a lot to say how actually J4 can play because J4 in general needs to be afraid of getting invaded, and without flash he's probably just dead if he meets Elise in level 3 if he gets invaded. So Showmaker, you can't see it in the screen, but you will see they are trading heavily in level 1, and this is quite important. So notice how the wave is still in middle, but they start trading level 1. He trades so hard, but the wave will still be in the middle. This is really important so he doesn't get ganked earlier on. But what Showmaker does is that both of them have pots, but look how low both are, and the wave is quite good for Showmaker and obviously for Yukol. But what this is doing is that if J4 do a level 2 gank, Yukal has to flash, but Showmaker can heal and they will kill Corki because he's so low. So by trading like a maniac, it looks like he's crazy, but it's actually really important that he does that because this forces actually Elise to come down to mid lane and cover. Because if J4 does the gank of the red, Yukal probably just dies, or at least he has to use all his sums and then he's fucked. So Elise has to cover, and by covering, you can see she doesn't have time to do anything after red. She has to come and cover it because if J4 goes in the brush after red, Corki will be screwed. So Elise comes to cover as she has to, but that creates tempo for J4 because Elise will stay in mid, and you see that ward is really important. So she walks down to blue, and then J4 can take his own blue, and he doesn't need to be worried of getting invaded, which is quite beautiful. And that creates some tempo for J4 so he can get back into it because he doesn't have flash. So by Showmaker playing so aggressively and still keeping the wave perfectly in the middle, he avoids the first attempt of Dread actually being able to invade him and kill him, especially when J4 doesn't have flash. So just let's talk a little bit about the tempo. You can see Jace is pushing really hard. He doesn't try to freeze for some reason at all or deny any CS. He gonna try to poke him on the turret and take plates. And in general, bot lane will just be a farming lane, cause its Sona Tom Kench at that point was really strong. You just farmed, and Sivir will just push. So Afrika Freaks wants to get to 3 items and try to run down Damwon Gaming, but they will have time to actually blow open the game. Uh, but we, but when we talk about tempo, you want in general the scale and composition wants the laning phase to extend as long as possible. This is in general. And the early game, mid game composition wants to try to get plays, they want to get drakes, and they want to have a faster pace of the game. But if the scaling composition, we can stop her. This is quite beautiful. This is just the tendency, and Dread took red back to blue, and then he took another camp and he's going top because he knows Nogru will push. And at this time, if Elise actually full cleared up to top again, he wouldn't be at this point. So now they're gonna get a kill, and this is unexpected. If it fails, Elise is kinda screwed-ish because she will be so far ahead. But here they get the flash and they get the kill. So it was a really nice adaptation from Dread, but if the gank fails, she will actually fall behind of J4 and that would be catastrophic. But again, they get the kill, they get the flash, and it salvage a little bit of the painful lane that Aatrox is gonna have early on. Because when he gets Tabi and some HP, he should be fine in the matchup in general. But yeah, going back, Sivir will always have prior on bot lane, and I don't think much will happen in general. So Damwon Gaming wants to keep a quick pace of the game in top and mid in general, and bot will just probably farm. But they're not gonna do much when Zoe has 1.5 and Jace has 2. They're probably gonna try to siege cause they only have in general Sivir to Veigar. Corki is not that great and Aatrox is not that great either. Like he will take a lot of poke if they're trying to Veigar with Aatrox and Corki in general. And now you can see Sivir will always have just perma push it. So maybe they can get some plates. So if Afrika Freak get an advantage in gold, they want to use the advantage to slow down the game. They want to extend every lane as much as possible, because if they can get to 3 item plus without falling too much behind, they will be in a really good spot. And at that time, they might have the items. They can literally just Sivir ult and run them down, because they don't have so much CC because of the Tomkins actually negates a lot of the CC. And so far it actually looks quite good for Afrika Freak. They are even in goal, it doesn't matter. But Jace needs to be a little bit more careful about how he's playing the lane without any flash. I mean, Keen doesn't have flash, but if Elise free gank and she has flash, then it might be quite dangerous. So this is actually quite good aiming backing, TPing in. So we'll do the same. This is quite beautiful. Tom Kench used obviously his his shield, so now they can dive, and this was quite easy. And this is so beautiful, beautiful dive, and we can stop her. This is quite important. Afrika Freak is actually quite far ahead in gold at this point. It doesn't mean they are stronger. Bot lane is stronger, but they can't do much. So by getting this play, 2 kills on bot, they can actually slow down the game. They can just push the way bot lane and extend laning phase as much as possible. So far it looks actually quite good for a Freak of Freak. And J4 comes down to cover, soak up some XP. He needs he's behind, cause Elise actually got a kill and assist, even as if Showmaker actually did a great job level 1 and trying to give some tempo back to J4. So far you can see the goal is in Afrika Freak's advantage, and now they just need to slow down, because Corki is even in CS, and it looks really good for them. They they are actually ahead of the clock, and they just need to wait to 3 items. Just slow it down. They don't need to do actually anything. It's up to Damwon Gaming at this point to actually do something. It should be said that Damwon Gaming will not do much before Zoe and Jace has their items, so they can start sieging, but they need to to get to those items. And now you can see Keen even managed to push. He has his Tabi, so he's more confident and he can actually lane against Jace for the most part. And here you can see they will have the push and they're so far ahead in items. So now they can start bullying a little bit, but in general it's just gonna be pushing, try to get some plate or prio. And this is actually quite good as well. They have tempo, they pushed in top, and now they rotate. So Afrika Freak actually has the tempo with a composition where they shouldn't have, like just chilling. Like obviously Elise will have the tempo in J4, but it's going so well and you can't do much in bot lane. So they denied blue, which is quite important, so we can't just blow up blow abilities. Because you see, Zoe actually went pen boots in this matchup just to have as much pressure on him as possible with damage as well, and probably because of the backing he didn't have enough. So he has pen boots and he has he's gonna try to get some stacks on his dark seal, and he needs the blue so he doesn't get doom. And so far it's a quite slow game because bot lane of a Freaka Freak is just pushing. And this is exactly what the Freaka Freaks want. When you talk about tempo, they want a slow game so they can get to their items. Sera can get her IE and Essence River and so on, so she will be so strong. And same with Corki, Trinity Force, and so on. And in Rapid Fire, Infinity Edge, something like that. And so far it's really nice. I mean, Afrika Freak is actually 1.5k a goal ahead, so let's say at least 1k, 1.5, and they are actually quite far ahead of where they should be. I mean, in general, they will be maybe a little bit ahead in bot, and it's also important to notice that Afrika Freak, if they should fall behind early on, which they aren't at this point, they could actually give a lot of the drakes because they will outscale. But at this point, they actually get free drakes because they are so far ahead, and Dawan Gaming is in no position to contest because Corki has his package. So this is quite well timed by Afrika Freak because Afrika Freak used the package, the thread of it. They have obviously perma prio bot, so Drake can just take the Drake for free. So they get a free Drake, but this is really bad. They should know J4 is bot side at this point. There are no reason for him not to be, because he full cleared. So if they assume it's a Drake, or they're gonna get dove off the Drake, because you can hear the package, he should be bot to cover. And this engage by Corki is insanely bad, because not only is it bad just going in and maybe die, but from a conceptual point of view. So if you think about it, Down Gaming want a quicker pace game, and Afrika Freak wants to just draw the game out as long as they can. And even if Afrika Freak doesn't die here, it doesn't matter. Just from a conception, the conception of engaging when they outscale quite hard and they want a slow game, is kind of counterintuitive. Um, and just jump in and try to get a kill. I understand they thought they were free, but this is actually quite risky because they had no clue where J4 was. So we can play it, and Corki almost dies. I don't know if he dies, and you can see, do they, even if they don't get any kills, okay, actually they got a kill. So this is quite huge. So now you can see, we're gonna talk about it a little bit. So just imagine, okay, so they used three flashes. Dread used flash, Yukal, like Corki used all his sums, and Sivir used flash, and they lost a kill. So Afrika Freak got a free Drake, which they probably shouldn't get or shouldn't need. Like maybe they could get it anyway if they wanted because of the heavy prio and bot lane. But they definitely, with the outscaling composition, they shouldn't need a Drake, but they could get it. So they got it for free. And then Yukal decided just to go in without any knowledge of where the enemy jungler was, and this is so bad. It's not bad only because they had to use three flash and they lost a kill. Just imagining Africa Freak didn't die and didn't have to use so many flashes. It's just bad because they will outscale and it was it was an unforced error, so to speak. And obviously Africa Freaks are good enough to know that they will outscale and they should just chill and wait. So instead of actually getting a free Drake and pushing their lanes, like bot lane could just keep on pushing, getting plays, mid could push or just farm, they lost a lot of flashes, but they also lost a lot of the tempo they had because they had an an advantage, tempo advantage. They could use to slow down the game. Instead, they used their tempo advantage to accelerate the game, which is in favor of down one gaming. And you can see the tempo actually turns now because instead of pushing mid and bot, they need to be so fucking careful with all the flashes down and the tempo turn quite a bit. Still, Africa Freaks are ahead in goal, so it's not like the worst part, but they need to give up way more than they actually should because of they lost so many flashes. So we're gonna go a little bit forward. And the next objective is actually Rift. You can see Down One Gaming is rotating for the Rift, which makes a lot of sense because Jace actually are getting close to his items, and so is also stronger than Corki. So this is actually a really good steal by Tread, but it's a risky one. Because if when we get the opportunity to look at the items, that was really risky. Because even if Damwon Gaming is behind in goal, they are stronger just because of the champions they are. Jace, okay, you can see Jace almost has one lethality item, and so he has still just pen boots, but Corki is face. So damage wise, they should be stronger unless it's a really extended fight because obviously Sivir is stronger. So it was a little bit risky, but they managed to steal the Rift. So far, they could use the Rift to get some gold platings for Aatrox or Corki or Sivir. It doesn't really matter. And they can slow down the game again. Because this will be really important. Because Jace has soon his first lethality item. He stacks a lot of swords, and so we will have also her last chapter. So she will be so much stronger than Corki, like burst wise. And if they start sieging soon, one trouble bubble and Jace combo, and you just straight up die. So bot is rotating obviously top because they need to farm both of them after the rift, and Sivir and Sona will probably be in a quite isolated state for a while. Um, so it will probably be Down One Gaming trying to push with Jace in one lane, and then they will start sieging up mid. Because this is also important macro-wise, that when they start sieging, when Jace has 1.5 item to 2, unless he's far ahead of the clock in Zoe, they will start to either siege 5v5, or in this case probably 4v4 or 3v3, because of Sona will just stay AFK in lane and scale up. But they need to try to break down mid. Obviously, they should neglect the other side lane that's Sona's not in, but they need to break down mid so they can start putting wards in enemy jungle and catch people off. Because they have quite a decent catch composition with Zoe as well. And you shouldn't forget about the Tom Kench ult and J4 engage. So by watching Sona Tom Kench, nothing happening. And this is quite I understand Dread wants to he stays in the brush and he get a catch, but he doesn't know where J4 is, but he probably assume he can one shot Jace or they get a kill. But again, you can see Keen is not in proximity, and obviously it's fine if they know J4 is not around. But Jace is so much stronger at this point than anyone in the game. Like, Jace is so much stronger than Elise, he's stronger than Aatrox and stronger than Corki, and we can just look, barely not kill him, and then J4 comes. You can see Jace literally one-shotted Elise, and at this point it's just GG because they get a kill and Elise can't do much. She doesn't have flash, and this goes back to the insanely bad play they had after the free Drake, where literally Elise flashed, Corki used all his sums and Sivir flash, and you can see how hard they're getting punished because Elise couldn't flash out, so she died, and Keen can't get anything. Canyon comes, and because Corki was back, like they just lost a kill, and again they lose more tempo. Dread uses stopwatch and died. So you can see the consequences of still now about to play. Because if Elise would have had flash, she could just flash out and it would be fine. But now it's not so fine anymore, and you can see the trading power. Like unless Corki can sit and free hit and use all his abilities, so it will just demolish. But this is quite nice. King gets the plates because obviously just got really low, so he get funneled some gold. First blood turret, he gets plates, and this is really good because now Jace needs to be a little bit worried. He can still bully Keen a little bit until he back, but at one point Keen will just run him over, probably unless Jace gets really fast. So that's really good. And the push, Afrika Freak pushed down mid lane, and they will reset because Severe is quite strong. She got kill and assist and decent farm. I mean, 10 CS a minute. It's quite good. So she's far ahead of the clock, but she's still not where she needs to be. Like the damage compared from Sivir, from Jace to Zoe is not even comparable, even if she has more gold. And now you can see Zoe push in and start poking, and this is a new Drake, and this will be quite important. And now you see some of the Zoe damage. She has one and a half, like half, two half items, and you can start seeing. So when she gets the Ludens, and Jace gets Jace the second lethality item, it's time to group because then they will blow up a squishy in a combo easily. Okay, Sivir is doing what she should do. She just farm push bot, and Afrika Freak need to give up this Drake. They will try to defend mid, and you can see Downone Gaming is sieging mid. This is really good, poking down and getting position to Drake. And Sivir and Sona should just be top and farm, and Sivir will get the Drake. But here you can see Afrika Freak, Dread, Elise and Nautilus are so far out of position because J4 can EQ and just ult and they have to flash again. It's like, it's really bad because the Drake is not important. Like, just try to defend mid, push out mid and bot. Bot is pushed. And just go mid and push it because you can't contest the Drake. Because if you look at the items, they are so much stronger. That one is so much stronger and it's literally not a Drake they need. And here they get Dread. I have no idea why Sivir TP ins. But yeah, this is horrible. And Tomcat eats and safe. And obviously Downone Gaming is playing it quite well. But my point is that it's literally not a Drake they need. And Afrika Freak got the first Drake, so they could just let Downone Gaming have the Drake. And it wouldn't change anything. Instead, they used a lot of flash, they died a lot. And now now the now Downone Gaming is huge favorites because we're gonna see how the tempo change. Just take a look, because this game will end quite quickly, and this is the last mistake Afrika Freak actually is managed to do. The first one was with Corki just using his package, jumping in, and they end up dying one die but a lot of flashes. And this strike, they shouldn't be here. This is the second mistake, and after this mistake, the game is literally lost. And you can see how we're going to see how Downone Gaming actually used the tempo in their advantage. Because now Zoe and Jace, who are like the most important for now, are so fucking strong. And this was a nice, I guess, consumer, so to speak, by Barrel, but it doesn't matter. So this is actually the last mistake Afrika Freak is allowed to do in this game before the game is just lost. Because we're gonna, as I said, we're gonna take a look after the replay, and here we can see Noguri screaming, probably. Okay, so take a look. Okay, so Zoe is quite close to getting Ludens, And Jace is actually instead he bought a phage instead of basically finishing a second lethality item. But at this point, Severe is obviously strong, but she doesn't do any damage. Like she's weak compared to Zoe and Jace. Quirk is weak compared to Zoe and Jace, and Aatrox is yeah, okay, but he kind of lacks at least half item more or one item in in total to actually be quite useful. And when Zoe get the Ludens, it's probably time to siege because then they will just blow someone up. And Afrika Freaks need more time to actually be having enough damage or items to actually do damage. And Sona will go top and just farm because she's like the late game insurance, quote unquote, from Down One Gaming. And Jace is pushing bot. Jace wants to get the turret, and it's quite good they put Quirky top lane because he needs farm to scale, but also Sivir is a much better wave clear. So you can see they're trying to siege a little bit down mid, push out mid, and then Sivir can wave clear, and Quirky will be top alone against someone, and that's fine. But I have no idea. Dread is just trolling. Like he should have got the info that they were moving, and he just died again. This is actually not so important at all. I mean, it's nice to get a kill, but it's not that important. And Sivir just hard aiming hard show. And now Jace has pushed, and he rotates him in. This is quite nice. And then he will probably back. I assume either he finishes Black Cleaver or he's getting close to his second lethality item. And I'm a little bit curious about when Zoe will get her item and they can just start sieging. And now, because of Dread's Eye, they can start pushing top, get the turret. So you see, they're taking every turret, but we're gonna go a little bit ahead. They just tried to engage on Tom Kench and it didn't work. And we're gonna go a little bit further ahead because we want to see when Zoe actually. Okay, so you can see Jace is soon 2.5 item, and so we got like one item and pen boots. So now it's soon time to start sieging. We can go a little bit back, and you can see because as I said, nobody could do anything against Jace 1v1, and that was before. You can just see what's happening now. Like, just take a look. This is not very close. Um, so let's go forward a little bit and now see if they start sieging. Because mid is actually still up, which is quite important. So Jace will go bot, a lot of XP, so it's important they push out their waves. Now they get the top turret, and they will push the waves and then siege. So we will stay mid, and Jace will either take bot lane turret or he will come mid to use the tempo when he pushes the lane and start taking down turrets. So they push down mid, and seems like they're gonna try to get a catch before the Drake. Afrika Freak shouldn't even bother going down to Drake, because the Drake, when it spawns, like, it's gone. They have no business doing going to Drake. You can see, at least the bot turret is quite healthy, but Jace needs to try to get it. And at this point, they should just try to push out lanes, because they don't have the items to fight. And I don't think Afrika Freak will contest this one. They have no business doing it. But here you can see the poke. And they don't even bother going for the Drake because they go for the poke. This is actually quite good. They get the Nodal Assault, which is nice, but he's basically dead. Now they can start sieging mid. This is really important. They don't care about the Drake, they just siege down mid. And J4 get engaged, and here you can see, like, when the turret goes, they need, if they know the turret will go, they need to back off. Because at this point, they are so weak. And you see, Down One Gaming didn't even bother going to Drake and try to catch someone. Because they knew, just take a look at this. Quite beautiful. And this is probably a clean ace, I think. Yeah. So, Down One Gaming didn't even bother going to Drake. Like, they went to Drake and hope Afrika Freak would go and face check it so they could get some kills. But the main objectives was getting the mid turret and start sieging them down. And when they got some poked, they didn't bother taking the Drake. They kept on pushing because they need the gold. They need to open up the map. The Drake doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter for either team really. But since they got a clean fight here after taking the turret, they just took the Drake as a consolation prize. I mean, it doesn't matter. They got it for free. Obviously, you will take it. But the main objective, they used their tempo advantage. They used the Drake to see if they could lure a Freak in to get a pick or get some kills. When that Freak didn't respond, they didn't bother taking the Drake. They went straight mid because they knew they were so much stronger with their champion and they could siege and they start sieging. And from this on, it's basically just GG because Zoe will seems like she's going for Rabadon and Jace has 2 lethality items in Cleaver. This is not gonna be close. So now, since mid is broken, they will try to push out mid and probably use. So either they Down One Gaming gonna siege again, or they gonna use push out mid and top, and they gonna start warding up enemy red side and use Baron as a bait. They're gonna use Baron as a bait to see if they can force a fight. So at this point, they actually think that Down One Gaming could just siege straight up turret 5v5. But if they want to do it more safe, they will push out mid and top, create pockets where enemy doesn't have vision, and play around Baron. Cause either they get a free Baron or they will face check and die, or both. Um, and now it's a little bit downtime. Jace pushed bot, and it seems like Nogri wants blue, and so is pushing. So for now it's a little bit downtime, but not much. Uh, they should get Jace. He should push one more wave, and he can back off, and they can push out mid and top and literally delete every vision a Freak has. And I have a feeling they will start doing. So you see, they're hard pushing mid now, and Jace is rotating, so this is quite good. Sivir obviously has a lot of wave clear, so they might think they need Baron at some point to break the base. I don't think so, because the poke should be enough to just get him away. And now Jace rotated towards mid, and then he's going bot after pushing, and you can see the turrets just getting demolished. And yeah, this is not a pretty sight. Okay, so everyone is bot, so they take obviously the bot turret in Henheb. Not much a Freak can do. And just see how they move. It seems like they're gonna do a hard reset. That would make more sense unless they go to Baron, I assume. They're gonna do a reset and then they're gonna push out mid, maybe top as well, and then create some vision, like areas where enemy doesn't have any vision. So they will clear out the whole Baron area and use that. Okay. Don't know. Well, I guess bot is down anyway, but don't know about that. TP. Probably doesn't matter. So now you see the group 5, they just hard show. Zoe is so close to Rabadon as well, but it doesn't matter if she has Rabadon because they have the items they need. They are just so far ahead of the clock, and now you see they start clearing all the vision, and this is quite beautiful because, as I said, Down One Gaming has the tempo. Like they got the inhib down in bot lane, and they are stronger early mid game. And you can see Sivir is soon 3 items, Corki 2, but not there yet. And since they clear the vision behind the Baron, they clear the whole Baron area, like in the Baron pit and outside Baron. A freak know that they can't go and face check the Baron. If it fights start 5v5 around the Baron, they just got wiped. So what Freaks want to do is they're gonna push down mid as 3 with Corki and Sivir, and maybe they can get the mid lane turret. And Down One Gaming noticed they want Freak to show themselves so they can create a fight, because J4 actually has a long engage with EQ alt, right? So they just removed all vision around Baron. Afrika Freak, rightly so, assumed they would be on Baron, so they're gonna trade some CS in bot. Like Keen is gonna push bot, so he get XP and gold. And Sivir and Corki gonna share some gold and XP in mid lane, but they at least gonna get the turret. But Down1 Gaming is like, okay, we can see you, and we don't need that. We just create some area where you don't have vision, so you don't know where we are, and we can create a team fight. So this is actually quite beautiful by Down1 Gaming, and you can see it engaged from J4. This is and Sivir is obviously getting really fucked by J4 in general, same with Ash. And this is just a clean fight. And now they don't even get to push mid and get some XP, and they waste TP. And now the game is literally over. We're gonna see. They couldn't contest us 5, but it seems like they want to try to contest us 3. I mean, the only thing they can do is if Dread can steal the Baron, so maybe then they can have enough time to stall out the game where they get enough items, but for now they're just getting basically clean aced. So there's not much more to say about it. But you can see, so here's my point. No, obviously they're so far ahead, but they started quite early when they got the items. Um, and here we can see after the burn, like just look at Jace and Zoe, like the damage is just actually insane. And there's not much they can do. And probably they don't need to wait for the inhib, they can just dive them on the next wave if they want to, but obviously they should play it quite safe, and you can see a little bit about the damage there. And this is the point, they had actually quite a long window where they could do this. But I don't wanna, yeah, now they just run down. And I mean, Afrika Freak need to start a fight because they need to win it, but this game is just lost. But what I wanted to talk about the tempo usage, since Afrika Freak wanted to play it slow and extend the laning phase, Down1 Gaming understood um, the tempo use and also the win condition so much better because Jason Zoe needed to get be even or ahead, and they needed to start sieging. And Afrika Freak actually played really well early. It was well played by them early on. They got advantage spot with the push, they got a good dive. Dread had a really good pathing where he abused Nogari's tendency and overextended. And they actually got tempo advantage where they could use it to slow down the game. But then when Quirky jumped in with the package without vision of J4, everything just started to go downhill. And after that, they did one more crucial mistake with the Drake, where they shouldn't even be and just give it. And then Afrika Freak got basically 4 kills in the Drake. And then you saw how Down1 Gaming used their tempo as a team. They knew they were stronger and they wanted to break open mid and take the turrets, but they used objectives to start a fight. So they cleared all the vision they could around Drake first and hoped Afrika Freak didn't want to would come in so they could poke them and kill them or get engaged. When Afrika Freak didn't want to come to Drake, they knew they were stronger, so they just bulldozed mid. They just went mid because okay, they were like, the safe thing for us is if Afrika Freak will face check us and we kill them, but if they don't, then we will just go mid and ARAM it because we can poke them down and kill them. So they try to use the objective to speed up the game where Afrika Freak was forced to do decisions to fight. But when Afrika Freak didn't want to go and face check them, they just went mid as they should. And the same they did with Baron. They removed all vision, hoped they would come and face check, and they could kill them. And when they didn't, they just tried to catch them off guard. So they used the tempo really well, and they understood the win condition as well. So that was quite an impressive game by Down1 Gaming. So this was just in general to understand more about tempo use for a team, but this applies also in solo queue to a certain extent and also more specifically for your own lane. But then you also need to understand more about the item and specific level spikes you have on your champion and your matchup. but I hopefully this is something you can take into your gameplay as well. So I will do another series about more about win condition in general, and I will talk about level and item spikes for a team, and you can hopefully apply it more in your solo queue games as well. But this is more concepts and not so specific for every champion or anything like that, because in my view it will be too specific and you can't really necessarily apply it in your game that well. It's better to understand the different concepts than having one very specific thing that might not apply for you as a player at your current level or in your team. Then it's better to understand the concept so you can mold it and use it to your own, make it your own and use it like that. But yeah, I will just say thank you for this video and I hope you enjoyed it.